But here I am, microphone here, so. All right. I'm going to go to webcast. Well, if it'll let me, hang on. Web page. There we go. There's the notification. There we go. Yep, we are the only one broadcasting. We are the only ones. Hang on. How do we sound? Test. Webcast. Well, if it'll let me, hang on. All right. Now go to YouTube. All right, go to YouTube, do a search for Theology Central. I don't see any notifications, so no one has left any angry remarks. However, no one has left any nice remarks, so I don't know. All right, go to YouTube, do a search. All right, turn that off. Okay. We will begin here in just a second. All right, we will begin here in just a second. I had to cough a few times. All right. We'll give it just a few minutes. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing okay. Yeah, I don't expect anyone to tune in, but that's okay. It's kind of perfect, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's just do this. Without any further delay, we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, December the 13th, 2025. It is currently 12:53 a.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio located right here in Abilene, Texas. 12:53 a.m. I know, that's not the typical time you hear when you listen to a podcast. Hey, we're coming to you live at 12:53 a.m. or 1:53 a.m. or 2:53 a.m. I know those are 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., midnight, 11 p.m. Those are all weird times for a podcaster to be, well, podcasting, for a broadcaster to be broadcasting, unless they, work in radio and they do an overnight program. But there's not a lot of those, right? I mean, a lot of radio stations go to, the computer after midnight. There are obviously some very famous programs that broadcast overnight, but for the most part, there's not a lot of broadcasting going on at this time. So why am I broadcasting at this time? Because, well, there are times, for whatever reason, my mind is, running. It's filled with, I don't know, all kinds of thoughts, and I don't know what to do. So do I go put on headphones and listen to music? Sometimes that's great. Do I read? Sometimes that's great. Sometimes none of that works, and well, I find myself right here. So if you would like, let me take you back about, I don't know, I guess over the last hour or so. So here I am. It's late. Now, I know now it would be technically early, but It's late when all of this really started. The house is quiet. The lights are off. There I am, lying in bed, staring into the dark. Oh, come on. I can't be the only one who's done that. You just lay there, just staring into the dark. Not asleep, not really awake in some ways, but your mind, won't slow down. My mind could not slow down. It never does. It never does. I mean, I have so many problems with sleep. One, I hate it. I just loathe it. But I do have my brain never stops. So when I lay down, my brain is running 1,000,000 miles per second. So I have to turn something on, right? I have to turn something on because if my mind will focus on that, all of the other noise kind of goes silent. I can focus on that and then typically fall asleep. It can be a radio program, classic radio drama, maybe a sermon, a lecture, who knows? I have to listen to something because that allows all the rest of the noise to go, silent. That works a lot, but sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes whatever is being said, I don't even know. I'm not even registering it because my brain is still moving at 1,000,000 miles per second. So I'm not even really taking in what I'm hearing. The mind will not slow down. Thoughts circle and overlap. Worry, frustration, sadness. Sometimes you have that tension that just never really leaves. You just lay there with it. Now, I'm kind of describing some of my feelings, and I'm just kind of describing general feelings so that you may be able to relate even better. And you may do this. I do this frequently. Sometimes when all of those thoughts are going and I can't sleep, whether it's worry, whether it's anxiety, whether it's sadness, whether it's depression, whether it's frustration, whether it's worry, you just name the emotion. All of those late night emotions you can get, right? You just lay there. And if I'm already listening to something and that's not working, then I have to make some decisions. Do I get back up? What do I do? Well, this time I do, I did what I have done 1,000,000 times. I reach over, grab my iPad. Not because I'm really expecting to find something to really help, but, just because I need my mind's going 1,000,000 miles per second. But if I can, find something on the iPad to look at, to read something, then maybe, again, I can quiet the rest of that noise. Sometimes I think we turn something on, or I may look at something because sometimes silence, can be heavier than noise. I think that's true. It can be louder than noise. Silence can be pretty loud. So there I am scrolling, going to article, looking at this, looking at that, looking at some of my notes for a podcast that, I need to do, should have done, that I did, but they didn't go the way the notes I wanted them to go. If you listen to the broadcast I did earlier today, that did not go the way I intended. Nowhere close. I even stated in the broadcast, I had 10 points to make. I never got to point number 1. All right. And so, I go back, look at that. Sometimes I'll go back and click on a podcast or a broadcast that I'd done. In some cases, it's almost like torture because I know I didn't like it. So now I'm going to listen to it just to make myself even more frustrated. But, you just sitting there scrolling. Something that may settle the mind. And then, this morning, it went from night into morning. I came across it. I came across these words. Humility is perhaps God's best cure for anxiety. Anxiety grows when we refuse to be helpless before God. True humility lets go of control, and anxiety fades when we surrender. Now, there were more words, but those are just some of them. All right. Let me read them again. All right. So just imagine laying in bed, the lights are off, house is quiet, can't sleep, mind moving 1,000,000 miles per second. And I come across these words. Humility is perhaps God's best cure for anxiety. Anxiety grows when we refuse to be helpless before God. True humility lets go of control, and anxiety fades when we surrender. Now, imagine you. All right, now I'm going to flip this scene. Imagine it's you. You're laying in bed. I mean, if you're listening to me right now, most likely you couldn't sleep unless you're in another country, okay? But for those of us in America, if you're listening to me right now, there was some reason you weren't asleep. But let's say you were laying in bed, lights off, house quiet, your mind's moving 1,000,000 miles per second. You're filled with worry, frustration, anxiety, depression, sadness, anger, just all kinds of emotions. You pick up your iPad, you pick up your phone, and you read those words. Let me read them to you again. Humility is perhaps God's best cure for anxiety. Anxiety grows when we refuse to be